Thank you very much for the opportunity. My name is Sefu Sanni from the region of Africa, and I am one of the coordinators for the CSM. Before opening the CSM's comments on the zero draft and rationale section, we as the CSM feel compelled to make a brief statement about the war in Ukraine. The CSM youth stands in solidarity with the victims of this war, and we fear for the lives of our sisters and brothers in Ukraine. We cry with the refugees and we condemn this war. We want this war to stop because there can be no right to food and no future for the youth, where war and violence threaten their lives, destroy their planet, and limit their futures. So food must not be used as a weapon, and the war in Ukraine must be stopped now. We support the call for peace and an immediate ceasefire, and call for full respect and application of international humanitarian law. The full protection of all human rights is one of the fundamental pillars of the United Nations, and alleged war crimes and crimes against humanity must be investigated. The international community must support the victims of this war with all the means necessary to ensure their human rights, particularly their rights to food, housing, and health. We as CSM Youth stand in solidarity with all the youth who are displaced from their homeland and with all the youth who are forced to live in places where violence is inflicted on them. And we call on all member states to end this war and all other forms of armed conflict, illegal occupation, and forced migration in this world. And number two, the CSM youth have been highly engaged in this policy process from the beginning, and we are disappointed to see that our contributions have not been included in the zero draft. But above all, the zero draft lacked a strong focus on human rights, particularly the right to food, women's rights, and peasants' rights, which are also absent in this document. We believe that the HLPE report on youth is quite strong. Its scientific, evidence-based conclusions should be foundational and highly visible within these negotiations. The HLPE identifies emerging issues to help member states prioritize future action. And this means that we must go beyond the quote-unquote agreed language for the CFS. So to begin our comments, we are frustrated to see that the zero draft does not contain a preamble and instead includes a rationale. To note is that preambles are important for interpreting international documents, and this rationale should be converted into one. And in addition, and more fundamentally, many crucial elements of the HLPE report are missing from the zero draft and from the framing paragraphs of the rationale. I will outline 6 points that we believe are essential to the framing of this policy instrument and should form the basis of the rationale section. The first one is the conceptual framework of the report, which should be clearly described. We underscore the need for a just transition towards economies of well-being based on food sovereignty, dignity, dignified livelihoods, and healthy environments. Second, the 4 pillars of the HLPE report are not included in the zero draft. This is the rights, equity, agency, and recognition are fundamental to building economies of well-being. Third, we must emphasize one of the main messages from the report, which is our redistributive and mediated market policies, which are required for supporting youth engagement and employment in agriculture and food systems. Fourth, we hope that the first draft of recommendation includes clear language about the need for significantly redistributing power in order for youth to be recognized and accompanied as agents of food systems transformation. And finally, we reiterate that food sovereignty and peasant agroecology must be central elements of these policy recommendations, and that now is the time for us to transform. Thank you very much.